Hi everybody, it's Jeff. Today is 4th of July, the 246th birthday of the United States, the country that gave us this, the USS Arizona. We're going to start working on the 1/350th scale Eduard limited edition today. This will be my very first model ship. I have no clue what I'm doing. Any suggestions will be very much appreciated. Before we get started, I've got a really big favor to ask you guys. I ran across a new channel. It's called Models and Beer. His name is Ed. He's a real nice guy. He just started his channel a couple of weeks ago. He's bought the 1/200th trumpeter USS Arizona, and he's bought all the Eduard and all the brass barrels and wood deck and everything to go with it. So he's only posted 3 videos so far. He's still working on, getting his lighting figured out and camera angles and all that kind of stuff. But he is putting together, my understanding is he's putting together a modeling space, for himself to work in, and he'll have everything set up. So as time goes by, I'm sure his videos will get better and better. But if you guys could go over and give him a sub and a like, I would really appreciate it. I'll leave a link to his channel down in the description. If you guys could do that for me, I'd really appreciate it. Okay, let's go down to the bench and we'll get started on the Arizona. Be right back, guys. So here's my Arizona with the decks on, some of the decks. I was just doing some preliminary kind of planning. I did some seam cleanup, and I drilled portholes on one side. I'll do the other side soon. But I've got these little risers, brass risers, and I've got a piece of pine coming that's just barely longer than the boat and just barely wider than the boat. So I was trying to figure out about the placement of this. This is going to be about 21 inches long. So center would be 10.5, which is just about the smokestack or funnel, I guess you would say. But I was thinking I would probably come in about 5 inches on each end, which would put one here. And about here. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, about here. I think that would look pretty good. I'm still just planning a little bit, but that would raise it up just a little bit. I'll show you what that board looks like that's coming. It was actually meant to be it's a piece of wood that's already got an edge routed into it for painting a sign on, but it's just the right dimensions to set this on. So it'll be here in a few days. But anyway, I'll put a picture of it up, what the piece of wood's coming like, what the wood looks like that's coming. So I'll probably put these about 5.5 inches from each end. I think that'll work out good. If anybody's got any better ideas, let me know. I'll need to do that before I glue the deck down, get the holes drilled and everything. These came with some bolts, and I'll need to figure out a way to capture the nuts inside so I can screw it in from the bottom once I get it all painted. But this is the hardware that came with it. Should be plenty. I'll just countersink it in the wood just a little bit so the head is, at least flush, maybe a little above, so it doesn't scratch anything. So I've got those to work on. Get this out of the way. Just trying to get it done. I've cleaned I had to move the camera because I couldn't get it all in the other way. I've gone around and I've cleaned the top of this a little bit. Just the edge of the hull. It was setting quite a bit high of the deck, and I need to put a little shim under here because when I go to glue that in, it leaves a real bad step. So I'll have to do a little practice trial and error and figure out what kind of shim I need to bring the deck up level. The back one looks pretty good. I can still feel it a little bit, but it's not much. I did order a wooden deck for this. I wasn't real happy with these seams across here, so I don't know how it'll fit or anything until I get it. So I'm not going to do anything major, but it'll be here in a few days. I also ordered I've got this book that I've been studying pretty good. It's got a lot of 3D, CAD drawings, and gives me a lot of information. Talking to some of the people that have built this, these are the color callouts that Hobby Boss gave me for this ship. Now, I've been told by a few people that have built this that this is way too dark, and I believe it is. I don't know if this color is necessarily right, but it's much more blue than this color here. So I've got some colors already kind of figured out, and I'm not sure if they're 100% accurate or not, but I've went ahead and bought them, so this is what I'm going to use. I've got, this is the blue I've picked. It's real close, maybe slightly darker than this, but we'll see when it gets on. This is Vallejo 71109. It's faded Prussian blue, kind of a blue-gray. So that'll be for the main structure. And then I've got 71084 for the anti-fouling below the water line. That is fire red from Vallejo. And then I've got the black for the boot line and whatever else might need to be black. That's just the regular Vallejo primer, 73602. I went ahead and bought this for the deck, which I think would look pretty good, but I'm going to see how the wood deck looks. That's 71072, which is 10 earth. Okay, I'll probably use the wood deck, but we'll see how it all comes out. And then I've got 71279, which is just the white for the top of the superstructure. That's just insignia white. And then I've got 71003, which is for the top of the turrets. That's just a red RML 23. So that's the colors I'm planning on using, and I'll probably just put a black primer on everything. These are all done on a black primer, of course, except for this one, which is the black primer. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about. When I get the other book, I'll do a little more research, but I've already bought those paints, so I think that's kind of the direction we're heading in. I've done a little bit of fitting here. This is kind of work, but it's not much. I'll get it to pull down fine. There is quite a gap down this side. I'm going to wait till I get the wood deck and find out whether this is narrow or if the hull is too wide. I want to try and figure out a way to get the wood deck to lay down and look good on there. So once the wood deck gets here, I'll do a little more fitting. I'll set that aside for now. Yeah, in the instructions, Hobby Boss, which is what this kit was originally made by, it's reboxed by Eduard with all the extra goodies. But they wanted you to build the whole superstructure off of this, all the observation towers and the whole thing. And then when it's all finished, they wanted you to set it on the ship. Yeah, I don't think that's a very good plan. So, see, there's another seam right here that it doesn't look too terrible, but I'm hoping the wood deck will make it a little nicer. There is practically no texture to this. It's just really, really fine. And actually, the grout lines between the boards are raised. They're not inscribed. So I probably just sand those off completely. So let's set this aside for a moment. This I've done some work on. Like I say, I need to do some shimming, and then there's going to be lots of parts. I know for sure these 2 winches come off, and I'm going to take these chains off. I've got more chain coming, and I need to weld the holes here for the house pipes are drilled out. There's 2 more up here I'll need to drill out, and then there's another piece back here. Okay, so this kit was originally meant to be, or to where it could be motorized. So it's got places here for batteries and mounts for motors and things. I've already done, this is what I don't know if you can see it or not. Let's see, pull this down a little bit. This is what it looks like when you get it. There's lots and lots. I think there's probably better than 100 portholes or scuttles on the sides, and they're just real shallow divots in the plastic basically. So I've gone through this side and I've drilled them all out just to clean them up a little bit. I think it's going to look a lot better with those drilled out. So I've got the other side to do. There was a pretty bad mold seam here. I've already sanded that off and cleaned it up. There's one that's not real bad here on the back, but yeah, it needs to be sanded down and cleaned up. So there's a lot to do on this, as far as just cleaning things up, getting them ready to assemble. And then on this, there's a seam down the middle that I need to remove, and these 2 locating, or the pins where the injection molding was. The hole's really, really heavy. I mean, it's very, very strong. But this seam here, there's a lot of flash and stuff here. In order to get a good fit, I'll need to clean a bunch of that off. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's some pretty good flash all the way around. So I'm going to go ahead and work on getting the portholes cleaned up, and I'm going to work on getting this seam cleared, sanded off of here, and then I'll probably come back and we'll start working on step 1, which I believe is some turrets. I've read all this several times. Very interesting history. So there are a few pieces here that will be replaced, but yeah, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a bunch of the old molded on ladders and stuff off the turrets and add some photo etch. So let me get this hull and everything cleaned up, and I might even go ahead and drill the holes for these brass risers, and then I'll be back and we'll start working on these turrets. All right, see you in a while, guys. Okay, I've got some of the preliminary work done. I've got all the portholes drilled out all the way around both sides. I've got a couple of them that were mismolded, and I may go ahead and fill them in and then re-drill them. I'll think about it a little bit. Anyway, lots of drilling, a couple of hundred portholes there at least. I've sanded the bottom of this. I've got rid of the seam. I'm down to 1,000 grit on this. I think it's pretty good. Might be a little spot there still. I'll look at it a little bit more. There was a couple of really bad sink marks here and here on both sides, and the plastic is so thick I didn't have any problems sanding those out. But it looks pretty good. I might work on that just a tiny little bit more. But I worked on this edge, on this seam, in, let's see here, which way we go? This way. I've got this seam really good. Um, it'll take a little bit of filling probably, but I've spent a lot of time working on this edge, keep making sure there was no burrs or flash or anything on there. I think it's going to glue up really good. Uh, I can't even feel it. Maybe a tiny little bit there I could feel it, but I think the fit's pretty darn good. Once I glue it up, then I'll be able to go back and just sand it just a little bit to make sure everything's good. But I'm real happy with that. I don't think it's going to take a whole lot. I haven't done the holes in the bottom yet. I'll be doing those soon. I'm going to go ahead and start working on step one. I haven't got any parts cleaned up or anything yet, so I'll work on that for a while. And this took quite a bit of time. I probably spent a good hour and a half just sanding and drilling. All my sanding sticks and everything are all pink now. That's okay. I got lots of them. But yeah, I think it's coming together, for just the first time fit. I can barely feel an edge there. But you can kind of move it around when you glue it a little bit. But it shouldn't take much to get that to go. Alrighty, guys. Well, I'm going to clean some parts up, and then we'll come back and take a look at the turrets, which is, I think, the very first step in the actual instructions. I'm going to have to go through the instructions and figure out there's a whole bunch of stuff here on the decks that need to go, because they'll all be replaced with 3D printed or photo etch. I'll come back. Let's see. This is the front. Sorry, the bow. I'll learn all these nautical terms. But there's the bow. There's the stern. It's really good. And the midships, I think. Not too bad. Not too bad. All right, I'll be back, guys. Thanks a lot. Alrighty. I've got everything all clipped off for the 4 turrets. Um, I had 8 parts here that needed to be bent. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but those are, I'm not sure, they're part of the turret. Some little railings, more little railings, some little tiny ladders, and then some parts that go on top of 2 of the turrets. And parts of I think these are part of the range finders. And we've got barrels. These are the center barrels. And then the outside barrels. This is just an internal part that holds everything in place. And here's the metal barrels. And here's a little, let's see if I can pick it up even, a little brass part for some extra detail on the front. Now, a problem I'm seeing with this right away is that when you put this on, you can still see plastic inside. I want to get rid of that. So I'll probably end up either cutting a little bit of this off or filing it out to where the plastic is not, not seen through the slots. But it's just the holes in the brass are just a little bit bigger than the holes in the plastic. And then I've got some little detail parts that go around the gun barrels to just add a little more detail to it. But I've got the turrets. Hobby Boss had their connection points right on the edge where this little detail is here. Let me bring this camera down a little bit. Okay, so there's some detail along this edge, and I had to sit there with a little chisel and go through and clean that plastic out of there. So I got that all cleaned up on all of them, and there was a connection point on the back, which was no big deal. But there's the 4 turrets. Now the front 2 are identical as far as these parts go. The third one has a couple of holes in it, which I think is for a catapult. And then the fourth one again is identical to the first 2. But the next thing I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to cut the barrels off of the plastic parts, and then I'm going to drill a hole, and I'm going to have to add this. Now that's going to take some time, and I don't want to mess it up. The other thing that I've got to do is there's a ladder molded in here, and I've got to get rid of those. I've already done it on one. It wasn't terribly difficult. It just a little bit of time with a file and some sandpaper. A round file worked really well on that. But I've got to do the ladders on everything, and then I'm going to have to trim all the barrels and drill holes and put those in there. And I don't want to rush it, but I want to get this video out in halfway decent time today. So I think I'm probably going to call this one, and we'll wrap it up for today. And then I'll probably work on this some more this afternoon, and then I'll do another video real soon. I'll probably put together a couple of them, ahead of time, and then I'll build at least one, maybe 2 on camera for you to see what I'm doing. But I really appreciate everybody that is subscribed, everybody that watches. Please hit the like bell. I'm having a great time doing this. I'm looking forward to doing a lot more on this ship. I think I'm kind of gonna want to start doing another ship maybe sometime soon. No, not the 200 Yamato, not yet. But anyway, thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll be back real soon with another video, and we'll get some more stuff done. Okay, bye-bye.